الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله الذي لا يكشف الشدائد إلا هو ولا يدفع المكائد إلا هو، وما مراد العاشقين في الدارين إلا هو، وما مطلوب الواصلين في الكونين إلا هو. العباد كلهم فقراء، لا غني إلا هو، لا حافظ ولا ناصر إلا هو. هل من خالق غير الله يرزقكم من السماء والأرض؟ لا إله إلا هو. إبراهيم في نار الحريق حين ناداه قال لا إله إلا هو. موسى على الطور حين ناداه لا إله إلا هو. يونس في بطن الحوت حين ناداه قال لا إله إلا هو. يوسف في قعر البئر حين ناداه قال لا إله إلا هو. ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم في غار الثور حين ناداه قال لا إله إلا هو. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا محمدا عبده ورسوله، أرسله شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتاب العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا أنصار الله كما قال عيسى بن مريم للحواريين من أنصاري إلى الله؟ قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله. فآمنت طائفة من بني إسرائيل وكفرت طائفة فأيدنا الذين آمنوا على عدوهم فأصبحوا ظاهرين. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: إن هذا الدين خزائن ولتلك الخزائن مفاتيح، فطوبى لعبد جعله الله مفتاحا للخير ومغلاقا للشر، وويل لعبد جعله الله مفتاحا للشر ومغلاقا للخير، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My respected brothers, sisters, fellow youngsters and elders, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given each one of us a specific quality and ability that someone else doesn't share. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam embodiment of many beautiful qualities. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent in an era and a time, for more than 600 years approximately, there was no message that was given to these people. And this period of absence of a messenger that was not sent to mankind led to division, confusion, skepticism, illusion, and all concepts of idol worshipping. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in a short of 23 years, not only does he have to transform this society into individuals who understand the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also has to build a society that will transform the future of generations, so that it reaches us and further on. And this mission is a long vision. It's not just one time to give a speech and walk away. So the Prophet ﷺ was sent to the people of Makkah. هو الذي بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته, from amongst the people. And the Prophet ﷺ sent with the most eloquent language and the best character. Even though with all these perfections, the hostile environment of Makkah did not allow him to stay in Makkah. And every often years in Hajj, the Prophet ﷺ would go and he would approach the camps of Mina. And he would say, "Man yu'wini wa man yansuruni." Is there anyone in these camps? Or anyone from wherever you're from the Arabian Peninsula, or from outside the Arabian area, from the Roman or the Persian, allow me to take refuge. Give me safe haven in your society. حتى أبلغ كلام ربي. All I want to share is the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know the basic seerah. In the 6th year of his prophethood, he had to force his beloved companions from his beloved cousin Ja'far to leave to Abyssinia. Left towards Abyssinia. And then on the 9th year, the Prophet ﷺ, after the demise of Khadija, his internal support, Khadija and Abu Talib. Abu Talib was the external support, and the internal support was Khadija. Two main focus points of support of the Prophet ﷺ have left the Prophet ﷺ in the same year. And the Prophet ﷺ is looking for an opportunity. Goes to Taif. We know what he comes back with Taif. 11 kilometers of stoning. The Prophet ﷺ doesn't lose hope. But every single year he reaches out to the people in Mina. Is there someone that can give me refuge? The people of Yemen from the tribe of Hamdan, said, we will look into this matter and we'll come back to you in Rajab. The people of Yathrib said, we are interested. Some pledged and some said, we'll bring more back. And the Prophet ﷺ, Allah's plan was already written, but it came into play. And the Prophet ﷺ is making this journey towards Medina. And this new community, who is not promised any safety in the sense that we will defend you and our wealth, and we will give you a place to convey the message. And there were treaties made between the people of Medina and the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet arrives in Medina. Anas radiallahu anhu says, I was there. لما دخل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم المدينة أضاء منها كل شيء. I witnessed the Prophet's arrival in Medina. The entire Medina was illuminated with nur, with light and blessing. ولما مات النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. I was also there when the Prophet left this world. أظلم منها كل شيء. Everything is darkened. وما رأينا يومين شبيه بهما. I have not seen 2 days like these 2 days of my life. The day the Prophet entered into Medina and the day the Prophet left this world and was buried. Brothers and sisters, now the Prophet ﷺ is focusing on the future generation. But this future generation doesn't know what they're buckled in for or what they're committed for. But few people from Mecca know the future plan and are already committed to this. And amongst them is Abu Bakr. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was given the order for migration to Medina, that afternoon, the Prophet ﷺ comes to the house of Abu Bakr and he knocks on the door. And Aisha radiallahu anha says, this was an hour the Prophet ﷺ would come in and not visit us. This was not the time of the routine visit of the Prophet ﷺ. And now they open the door and see the beautiful face of Rasulullah. The Prophet ﷺ says to his close companion, Inna Allah adna al-khuruj wal-hijrah. Allah has permitted me to migrate from Mecca to Medina. Allah has given me order to migrate from Mecca to Medina. Abu Bakr's first response, instantaneously, without second thought, he says, As-suhba ya Rasulullah, allow me to be your companion. Allow me to be your companion in this Jannah. Whatever he could do. And this answer was also divine. The Prophet ﷺ said, Bala, of course, you'll be my companion. Aisha radiallahu anha says, ما شعرت قبل ذلك اليوم أن أحدا من الرجال يبكي من الفرح حتى رأيت أبا بكر يومئذ يبكي من الفرح. I didn't know, from her tender age, I didn't know men can cry out of happiness until I saw my father cry out of joy when he was given permission to travel with the Prophet ﷺ. This is why when Umar was boldly told by an individual in his community, أنت خير من أبي بكر. Umar, we want to make this clear as a fact, you are far greater and better than Abu Bakr. Apparently, it looks like it because lands that were conquered, poverty was removed. There was no one eligible of zakah in the 6th year of Umar's emperor. No one eligible of zakat because poverty was removed. And we're still struggling with the crisis of poverty today in such a powerful country, influential country. But Umar radiallahu anhu, with the legal concept of zakah, was able to eradicate poverty. Justice, removing injustice. Ruling for people who are weak equally for ruling for those who are strong, but with justice. Nevertheless, when man says to Umar radiallahu anhu, that you are greater than Abu Bakr, Umar radiallahu anhu looks back at him and he says, يوم من أبي بكر وليلة خير من عمر وآل عمر. Let's make this just for the record, so you don't have to repeat this again. One day of Umar, one day of Abu Bakr, and one night of Abu Bakr is greater and better than Umar and his entire generation. وآل عمر. And the Al Umar is no ordinary people. We have Ibn Umar, second highest numbers of narrations. We have Hafsa, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. And from this generation we also have the great giant Umar bin Abdul Aziz. He's saying, Min Ali Umar, that one day and that one night, and just to talk a little bit about that one night. إذ هما في الغار إذ يقول لصاحبه لا تحزن إن الله معنا. When the two, the Prophet and his Khalil, the Prophet and his Habib and his best companion Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu are in the cave, and Abu Bakr starts to cry. And he says, Ya Rasulullah, لو نظر تحت قدميه لأبصرنا. Riwayah in Sahih Muslim. If they were to look down, they would spot us. And it is only natural when someone's walking up, they look down. Especially in a mountainous area. لو نظر تحت قدميه لأبصرنا. It doesn't take rocket science to look around. This is no research of someone that's hiding. This is apparent. They will see us. You don't need a forensic expert for this research. If they look down, they will see us. The Prophet ﷺ, all the experts on one side, the reply of Muhammad ﷺ on the opposite side. مَا ظَنُّكَ يَا أَبَا بَكْرٍ بِإِثْنَيْنِ اللَّهُ ثَالِثُهُمَا. What do you think? What do you think about those who are two, but the third one is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا. That night is greater and far better than Abu Omar and his entire family. This is the great giant Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Now he accompanies the Prophet ﷺ. The journey is lengthy. But when he arrives in the new society of Medina, what is waiting for Muhammad ﷺ? The people of Medina are coming out every single day waiting for the arrival. Finally when they arrive, no one knows who Muhammad ﷺ is except for those who pledged at the Prophet ﷺ's hand early in Mecca. And they're coming and فَجَعَلَ يُحَيُّ. They started to receive Abu Bakr as if he was a prophet. حَتَّى أَصَابَتِ الشَّمْسِ. Until the heat of the sun started hitting the Prophet ﷺ in midday. فَقَامَ أَبُو بَكْر. Abu Bakr got up. فَضَلَّلَ عَلَيْهِ النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم بِرِدَائِهِ. He took his cloth, his shirt, and his sheet or his cloak, and he covered the Prophet ﷺ, gave him shade. حِينَ ذَلِكَ عَرَفَ النَّاسِ. Only then the people recognized who the Prophet was and who the student was. That's how humble the Prophet ﷺ was. But this community embraced the Prophet ﷺ in such a way. The next year, Ramadan comes. In that same year, on the 17th of Ramadan, the Battle of Badr takes place. And the Prophet ﷺ is not pledged with these people to give their lives in defense of Islam. Just to give them a safe place for the Muslims to eat, drink, live Islam. Just let us live. That's what they pledged for. Now the Prophet ﷺ has to defend the Muslims against an army equipped, head to toe, tooth and everything, ready to fight the Prophet ﷺ, literally coming to steamroll in the Muslims of Medina. The Prophet ﷺ comes out to the Battle of Badr. And he speaks to the Ansar, he speaks to the Muhajir, who is ready to support Islam and defending Islam when these people are coming to attack the Muslims, the innocent Muslims. And the Muhajirin were committed. Then he speaks again. And then finally Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh or Sa'ad ibn Ubadah from the leaders of the Ansar, أَلَنَا نُخَاطِبْ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ أَلَنَا تُخَاطِبُنَا يَا رَسُولَ. Are you speaking to us? Are you addressing us? Because the Ansar were not committed for this. And the Prophet ﷺ says, yes, I'm speaking to you, all the new community of the Muslim civilization, who was not committed to this. Are you ready for this? So the Sahabi says, Ya Rasulullah, in Bukhari, لو أمرتنا أن ندرب أكبادنا إلى برق الغماد لفعلنا لو أمرتنا أن نخيذها البحر لفعلنا. O Prophet of Allah, you tell us to run our horses to Yemen, we won't turn back. And you tell us to throw our horses into the water, we'll get them wet and we won't ask why. This was the attitude. When they answered like this, فَقَامَ the Prophet stood up and he looked at the positions of where these people will die. And he said, هَذَا مَصْرَعُ فُلَانٍ وَهَذَا مَصْرَعُ فُلَانٍ هَذَا مَصْرَعُ فُلَانٍ. So and so will be killed here, so and so will have their fate here. And he got up and he prophesied the future losses of these mushrikeen, those who were fighting the Muslims at that time. Speaking of people who are ready to commit. These same people, they gave. When the Muslims came to Medina, Sa'd ibn Rabi' comes to Abdurrahman bin Auf and he says, "Oh my brother, who is a muhajir immigrant," and a resident of Medina says to his immigrant brother, "Ana aktharu ahlul madinati malan." Let's make this clear. Well, you have been introduced to me because the Prophet has made you my brother. And that was one of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He made a brother between the Muhajirin and Ansar. So you are my brother and I happen to be the richest person in Medina. Take half. فَانظُرُ شَطْرَ مَالِي. Look at the best half of my wealth. What real estate impresses you? خُذْهَا. Take it. You want to get married? I'll get you married. I'll take care of your needs. Anything you need. Abdurrahman bin Auf says, Barakallahu fi ahlik wa malik. May Allah bless you in your family and your wealth. Dullani ala suq. Guide me to the market. And it was the good fortune of the blessing of the Prophet's dua. The Prophet ﷺ gave this dua to Abdurrahman. Allahumma barik fi mali Abdurrahman. Oh Allah, you bless the wealth of Abdurrahman bin Auf. That he became so wealthy that it comes in Tariq that in his life, 1/3 of Medina would borrow money from Abdurrahman bin Auf, 1/3 of Medina would be returning the loans to Abdurrahman bin Auf, and 1/3 of Medina, Abdurrahman would be forsaking their loans. The entire economy of Medina was Abdurrahman bin Auf. That's how wealthy he was. And he says himself, لَوْ بِعْتُ التُّرَابَ لَرَبِحْتُ. I am so blessed, if I used to pick up dirt and sell it, I would make profit. If I moved the stone in my house, I would find gold. لَوْ رَفَعْتُ حَجْرًا لَوَجَدْتُهَا تَحْتَهَا ذَهَبًا. I would find, that's how blessed he was because of the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. But the concept of the people of Medina was to give. And that's my question. Each one of us here have a certain trait that we should also share in the contribution of the growth of Islam in this country. If a bird like Hudhud, whose value isn't equal to the kingdom of Sulaiman much, but even this small bird feels I can partake in the growth of this religion, in saving a nation from fire of hell. This Hudhud is mentioned in the Quran. An ant is mentioned in the Quran. The concept of us human beings are living in this country with just my vision, my family's vision, our community, education, getting them married, brothers and sisters. What you have, your children don't have. And what your children have, my children don't have. We need to equally put our talents together, not divide. So our resources can be used in a way that the Muslim Ummah can go back to the glory days. And I truly believe that America is a place to revive the glory days of Islam. Because it gives us the freedom and the opportunity. There are Muslim countries where Khatib cannot give a speech until it's documented by the government. There are Muslim countries that you cannot gather more than 4 people to speak about religion. The persecution has been going on for decades. Brothers and sisters, it is the freedom of earning and acquiring the skills that we can make more money from, but also the options of taking advantage of the freedom of religion and giving back to those people who need it. The Americans, us, our children. And that's what the Ansar did. They gave back so much. The Prophet ﷺ calls them an Khaybar. He says, "O people of Khaybar, إن شئتم أن تطيبوا أنفسكم بنصيبكم من خيبر وتطيب ثماركم." The Ansar gave their wealth. Everything they needed, the Prophet ﷺ asked for, the Ansar gave. Matter of fact, if you go down the list of the martyrs of Badr and the Shuhada of Uhud, majority of the names are the Ansar. These same people who had tribal fights within for years, for decades, if not centuries, were able to become such individuals who were ready to give their life for Muhammad ﷺ. Give their money for the cause of religion. Supporting the needy. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصًا. They gave up their own needs, their own desires, their own necessities for the service of mankind. And that's what we're built for. When an ummah has this vision, there is no force in the world that can hold us back from our talents and abilities. And the Ansar gave this. Finally, the Prophet ﷺ, after years of contribution in Khaybar, the Prophet ﷺ says, look, you have given and contributed much to Islam. If you wish, I can pay you back. We've earned a lot of spoils of war, and it's time that we recognize your benefits and your favors, and repay you back. And the Prophet ﷺ had a very strong quality. If someone ever did a favor to the Prophet visually, he would always give them back. Either it was monetarily, or it was a prayer. Never left them empty. Always had something good to say. Because the Prophet always wanted the upper hand over someone. And يَدُ الْعُلْيَا خَيْرٌ مِنْ يَدِ السُّفْلَى. Always made them feel special. The Prophet was aware of their favors. Nevertheless, except for one person. The Prophet ﷺ says, مَا لِأَحَدٌ عِنْدَنَا يَدٌ إِلَّا قَدْ كَافَيْنَاهُ مَا خَلَأَ أَبَا بَكْرٍ فَإِنَّ لَهُ عِنْدَنَا يَدٌ يُكَافِي بِاللَّهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Everyone that has favored me or helped me, I have paid them back, except for one individual, that is Abu Bakr. Allah will pay him back on the day of judgment. Subhanallah. What did he do? The Prophet could not even pay him back himself. He's sitting in the cave with the Prophet, and the Prophet says to him, أنت صاحبي في الغار وأنت صاحبي على الحوض. Just for the record, Abu Bakr, you're my companion in this cave. You will be on the pond when I serve my nation when they enter into Jannah. You will be there serving with me. So the Prophet ﷺ says to the Ansar, let me pay you back for all the services. So the Ansar said, Ya Rasulullah, إنه قد كان لك علينا شروط ولنا عليك شرط. Ya Rasulullah, let's remind ourselves what took place early in Medina. There were conditions that you made upon us. And there was a condition that we made upon you. Sounds bold, doesn't it? There were conditions that you made upon us. They will give our money, our family, our support, we will be there. You made a deal with us also, the other half of the deal. The Prophet ﷺ says, the Sahaba say to the Prophet, you promised us that we give everything, you will give us Jannah. And the Prophet ﷺ looks at them and he says, فَذَاكُمْ لَكُمْ فَذَاكُمْ لَكُمْ فَذَاكُمْ لَكُمْ. Your Jannah is waiting for you. Your paradise is waiting for you. One day the Prophet ﷺ was sitting in the masjid and the Ansar walked in. And before they walked in, they kind of got together for days because of drought and famine in Medina. They had nothing. They have all their money, and a dry land like Arabia doesn't get a lot of natural rain. So they sat down and they discussed that we need to ask the Prophet ﷺ that he asks Allah that He makes a river flow in the middle of Medina that can water our crops and give us some livelihood. A very innocent gesture. So they have all this planned out. The Prophet ﷺ sees them walk into the masjid and he says, Marhaban bil Ansar, Marhaban bil Ansar, Marhaban bil Ansar. Welcome, welcome, all the helpers of Allah's religion. And they call them Ansar. Welcome. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he states before they can request. He says, لا تسألوني شيئا إلا أعطيتكمه ولا أسأل الله لكم شيء إلا أعطانيها. Let's make this clear. Anything you ask me today, I will grant you. And if I don't have it, I will reach out to the treasures of Allah and give it to you. I'll ask Allah to grant it to you. The Ansar are put on their heels. They're like, what? We came with the intention to ask for water, for our crops, for our livelihood, for our families and our children. They said, let's renegotiate the situation. They sit down, they huddle. What should we ask? This is an opportunity. What should we ask? And they all come to a consensus. Let's take advantage of this moment and ask the Prophet to ask Allah for our forgiveness. Skip the dunya. We'll get that anyways. That's written for us. لَن تَمُوتَ حَتَّى تَسْتَكْمِلَ رِزْقَهَا. You're not going to die until you take the last grain. So let's ask for maghfirah. So they come to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu al-maghfirah, ask Allah to forgive us. The Prophet lifts his hands. The Prophet lifts his hands. And listen, just between the audience that's sitting here, you think the Prophet didn't know they were hungry? He knew what they needed. But the test comes. He had an idea. Of course there was this whispering in the society before they came. Prophet of Allah, he was given divine information. But they come. And the Prophet lifts his hands. And he said, Allahumma ghfir al-ansar. Oh Allah, one time. Allahumma ghfir al-ansar. Second time. Allahumma ghfir al-ansar. Three times. Oh Allah, forgive the Ansar. Wali abna'i al-ansar. Wali abna'i al-ansar. Oh Allah, you forgive the children of the Ansar. The grandchildren of the Ansar. Wali jiran al-ansar. Wali mawali al-ansar. Wali azwaj al-ansar. Oh Allah, you forgive their wives, their neighbors, their workers. Oh Allah, you forgive everyone that is associated to the Ansar. Just for a few years of sacrifice. Finally, the conquest of Makkah takes place. Emotional state. For some people, it's complete excitement. For those people who left Makkah, it was a day of redemption. Some people said, Al-yawm malhama. The Prophet said, no. Ease that voice. Ease that shout. Al-yawm yawm marhama. Today is a day of mercy, not revenge. We're coming in to forgive. When the Prophet arrives in Makkah, few interesting points take place. One, the next morning, Hinda, the wife of Abu Sufyan, an open enemy of the Prophet ﷺ, accepts Islam. She comes to her husband, says, Uridu an ubaya Muhammad. I have made my mind, I'm going to pledge on the hand of Muhammad ﷺ. I'm becoming a Muslim. So Abu Sufyan is also shocked. He says, Ra'aytuka tukfirina billah. All my life I've seen you plan and strategize against Islam. All of a sudden you want to become a Muslim? What happened? She says, this is her statement. And I want to make this very clear. He said, last night, ما رأيت الله عبد حق عبادتي في هذا المسجد قبل الليلة. In Haram, usually when you become victorious and there's a parade, after hopefully one day the Cowboys will win, I'm saying in my khutbah, you know, some team wins, there's a parade, there's excitement, the conquest of Makkah. What should be the most, what does an army do that night? They drink, they have enjoyment, they spend time with their family, they tell stories. That night, the entire Muslim that came, thousands of them that came, they were busy in tahajjud all night. He says, مَا رَأَيْتُ اللَّهِ. Hind says, I have never seen anyone worship Allah like I saw these people stand last night in front of the house of Allah. ما رأيت الله تعالى عبد حق عبادتي في هذا المسجد قبل الليلة إن باتوا إلا مصلين قياما وركوعا وسجودا. This is all I saw. I didn't see no dam, I didn't see no dabka, nothing. All I saw was people, the noises of the cry of gratitude, the noises of prayers of gratefulness. Oh Allah, you gave us this. Alhamdulillah alladhi anjaza wa'ata wa nasara abada. Allah, you did this. And she becomes Muslim just by seeing the piety of the Brothers and sisters, the masjid should be an environment when people see us, they're attracted to it, not disconnected from it. How many times do I hear people tell me, I left the masjid or I stopped coming to the masjid because of certain individuals? That statement doesn't justify it, neither does the character justify it. Brothers, our character, our worship should bring people, it should be a magnet force of inviting people, the youth, to the masjid. If you see someone with shorts, it's not the time to give him a fatwa. This is a time to welcome him. This is a time to welcome them. If you see a sister walking in without hijab, this is maybe her first time coming into a masjid in a year. You don't know what's happening in her life. Before we judge, كن داعيا قبل قاضيا. Be an inviter before you become a judge. Take care of them, welcome them. And that's what we find in the character of these people. Nevertheless, a second incident I want to share before we conclude the khutbah is the emotions of the Ansar. What happens there? The Muhajirin are excited, but the Ansar, and they start whispering within. أما الرجل أخذته رأفة بعشيرتي ورغبة في قريتي. What do you say about a person who's inclined to stay with his tribe of Quraysh, and he's inclined to stay back at his home, Mecca? Speaking of the Prophet ﷺ, because that's his original home. And maybe has no interest in returning back to Medina. This could be a speculation. And this discussion and whisper went within the circle of the Ansar. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates فَجَاءَ الْوَحْيِ. All of a sudden revelation started coming. إِذَا جَاءَ الْوَحْيِ لَمْ يَخْفَ عَلَيْنَا. They say when revelation would come, it was completely apparent. The Prophet would sweat, he would close his eyes, and we knew revelation was coming. We can only hope it was in our favor, not against us. فَلَمَّا الْقَضَى الْوَحْيِ. When revelation was concluded, and while revolution would come, لَمْ يَرْفَ أَحَدٌ طَرْفًا. No one had the audacity of the Prophet's face. That's how powerful it was, the scene. Finally, when revelation concluded, we looked up, the Prophet looked at us, says, قُلْتُمْ. Tell me if you said this. أَمَّا الرَّجُلُ أَخَذَتْهُ رَأْفَةً بِعَشِيرَتِي وَرَغْبَةً فِي قَرْيَتِي. A person, some third person is inclined to stay back in his community and is attracted to his family in Mecca. Is this true? Did you say this? Tell me. And the Sahaba say, Ansar said, yes, Ya Rasulullah, we've been whispering this because we're really worried that if you're going to come back with us to Medina. We want you to come back. And the Prophet ﷺ says, كَلَّا إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولُهُ هَاجَرْتُ إِلَيْكُمْ فَالْمَحْيَا مَحْيَاكُمْ وَالْمَمَاتُ مَمَاتُكُمْ. No, never. I'm the messenger of Allah. I'm the slave of Allah. I migrated towards Medina. I will live within you and I will die within you. You've earned this. So brothers and sisters, such respect was given that today, when you go for Umrah, you must walk through the cities and the walls of because the Prophet is resting there. This is why Ali radiallahu anhu says, ماذا على من شم تربة أحمد أن لا يشم مدى الزمان غواليا صبت علي مصائب لو أنها صبت على الأيام عدن لياليا. And he says another poem. He said, إذا اشتد شوقي زرت قبرك باكيا أنوح وأشكو لا أراك مجاوبي ويا ساكن الصحراء علمتني البكاء وذكرك أنساني جميع المصائب فإن كنت عني في التراب مغيبا فما كنت عن قلب الحزين بغائبي. In summarized form, he says, whenever I'm in pain, I come to your grave. In my pain, when my love and the pain of love drives me, I come to your grave. إذا اشتد شوقي زرت قبرك باك. And I don't just walk there with my phone or ideas in my mind, but tears dripping from my eyes. زرت قبرك باكيا أنوح وأشكو لا أراك مجاوبي. I have complaints. And anyone that knows basic history of Ali, I have complaints. And we all have pains. أنوح وأشكو لا أراك مجاوبي. But I have no one to give me an answer. فيا ساكن الصحراء علمتني البكاء. I can definitely say, oh that who's resting in the grave, you have taught me the manners of crying. Rone ke bhi adab hain. There's etiquettes of crying. علمتني البكاء. Very powerful. وذكرك أنساني جميع المصائب. And when I remember you, it makes me forget all my pain. Subhanallah. When I remember you, it makes me forget all my pain. Subhanallah. This is why, my brothers, when you're in pain, just say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This is why Khalid radiallahu anhu, when he would go and he would move and toss in bed with pain, he would say, Wa Muhammada, Wa Muhammada. And he had a lot of scars and wounds and fractures on his body for serving Islam. His wife says to him, why do you say Wa Muhammad? Why? Oh Muhammad, oh Muhammad. He says, whenever I am in pain, knock on my joints, I say Muhammad's name and my pain is relieved. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وذكرك أنساني جميع المصائب فإن كنت عني في التراب مغيبا. You may be resting in the grave فما كنت عن قلب الحزين بغائب, but you will always live in this heart that lives with pain. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us that support Islam, like the Ansar of Medina. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our children the flag bearers of Islam, the present, the future of Islam. When we look tomorrow at our children, when we leave this world, we are confident that there are people to take Islam to other parts of the world. We may ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove the difficulties and afflictions of the Muslims who are suffering across the world. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give cure to those who are sick and those who have passed away. May Allah forgive them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to resurrect us in the company of the righteous with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his beloved companions. Wa akhiru da'wa alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. الحمد لله نستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتاب العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته. اللهم اغفر لجميع المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والأحياء منهم الأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم اشف مرضانا وعاف مبتلانا وارحم موتانا إنك حق على كل شيء قدير. اللهم انصر المسلمين المستضعفين في الشام وفي غزة وفي بورما وفي يمن وفي السودان وفي كشمير وفي أفغانستان وفي سائر بلاد المسلمين وغيرهم يا رب. اللهم كن معهم. اللهم نفس كروبهم وهمومهم وغمومهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم داوي جرحاهم وآوي مشردهم يا أكرم الأكرمين. اللهم رد المسلمين إلى دينك ردا جميلا. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. آمين آمين آمين. عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. استقيموا واعتدلوا.